Welcome to Gulfstream Park. It is January 9th, 2015. Christina Bosanakis joined by Ron Nicoletti. And Ron, a lovely day here. Many people across the country really are not having a great time of it. But today we got lucky. We have a really nice
day, and it warmed up a little bit. We were a little cool for us. I'm not making fun of you people out there. Cool for us, but now just another beautiful day here in South Florida. Fast main track, firm turf course. We got that $50,000 jackpot guarantee in the Rainbow Six. 10-race card. It starts in race number 5, races 5 through 10. And don't forget, both on Saturday and Sunday, we'll have those guarantees. $50,000 in the pick 5, $100,000 in the late pick 4. And a little birdie told me, if they do not hit the Rainbow Six today, we will have a $100,000 jackpot guarantee in the Rainbow Six. That's if they do not hit it today. Of course, if they hit it today, we'll be back to the $50,000. So that's later on today. We got that fast main track. Beautiful day today.
And we have to just quickly look at tomorrow, Ron. What a great card. We have Lee, who's returning, won the Dawn Handicap here last year, and we haven't seen him since, but he's running tomorrow. And Commissioner ran second in the Belmont for Todd Fletcher. He's running tomorrow on the undercard.
On the undercard, and we got 2 graded stakes races on the grass, so who's better than us?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody. So it's going to be a fun day. That is tomorrow, but we got a pretty nice card today that we have to work out, and let's see if you can hit that $50,000 Rainbow Six today.
Yeah. So. Well, we're sure going to try, but we'll kick off with the first race on the card, and actually a pretty interesting race, and I think a pretty competitive race. Right now we do have a favorite at 8-5. It's still early. That's Fire Blue, number 5. However, it is a starter optional claiming event, and with a claiming price of $25,000 a mile on the turf course, I actually went with the other horse that's taking money, and that's number 8, T-minus from the David Fox barn. I'm looking at David Fox right now, enjoying having some lunch before in the first race. He's going to kill me for that one. However, a couple of good races. If you look at this, Gelding broke his maiden back on November 7th. Pretty nice effort. He is first time he faced winners, and although that was a starter optional claiming race, 35,000 claiming tag last time. I thought it was a pretty even effort, and I'm looking for this Gelding to come back.
Yeah, I got him on my ticket. I did have him flip-flop. You see I have the 5 on top, who's currently favored by, as Christina mentioned, very early in the wagering. Fire Blue dropping to the $25,000 level. Due for the lead, finished 4th, was beaten 3/4 of a length. It was against $35,000 option claimers at this same 1-mile distance. So these 2 look like the logical contenders in there. And I closed it out with the number 7, Rizwan, another exiting that $35,000 race on December 12th to merit consideration.
Looking onto the second race on today's card, and it is a 6250 claiming event. 7 furlongs on the main track, and this kicks off the early pick 4. And my top selection, I went with number 5. My Uncle Charlie. Ron, it looks like we're in agreement here, and actually we're in agreement with our top 2 horses, and this 4-year-old colt by exclusive quality. Looks like he's going to be showing speed. He has shown speed in his last couple of races for these connections. Now, he was actually claimed 2 starts back, Ron, from the George Navarro barn by Christos Gatis. Going to be showing speed. Now, Ron, I think that one, he just came back. He was short last time. He's cutting back in trip. I think that's going to help him. And why did you use him?
Yeah, similar reasons. Dropping to the 6250 level, turning back, duel for the lead, weekend. That was against, finished 4th in that race. Also used Happy Harvey, who did, I think this one is hoping to bounce back. He returned from a layoff. He made a bid at the quarter bowl, and he faded. He got beat pretty badly in that race, double-digit lengths. As the favorite, trainer Steve Dwoskin, apprentice Tyler Gaffney. On a horse I do not have on my ticket is the number 1, Little Rocco. And after you showed me the video that we're going to show now, I should have him on the ticket.
Last time he was 6th, and he was beaten 16 lengths, and I think a lot of the story was at the start, and we're going to take a look at that right now. Little Rocco, and you'll see him right there, number 3. And Ron, this is an understatement, but he veers out, and that's a pretty messy start.
Yeah, pretty messy spot, crisscross, so you got to just put a line through that start there. On the ticket, I did not use him. I used the 6 Red Pond in 3rd.
Yeah, and I think he's going to probably be a little bit closer up, and maybe that just put him a little behind the game. So Little Rocco, one to add on to there. On the race number 3, it is a starter optional claiming event, and it's a $25,000 claiming tag, a mile on the main track. We do have a few scratches, number 1, 5, and 8. My top selection, I went with number 4, and that's Oasis at Midnight. Coming into this off of a victory last time, that was 7 furlongs here at Gulfstream Park. She definitely knows how to win at this distance of a mile. And Ron, a big reason why I used her was the horses that she finished ahead of that day. They're actually stakes caliber horses. So she's a really nice mare from the Joe Orsino barn. Orlando Boca Chica, who was aboard for that win, gets back aboard today.
Yeah, and I did not have her on the ticket. I got sort of hung up with the number 2 Song Treek. This one is stretching out to one of her most accomplished distance. 10 previous races with 3 wins, 3 seconds, 2/3. And I think she has the tactical ability needed to stalk what should be really, I think, a solid early pace scenario in there. We do have a couple of scratches in the race. She's a grade 2 stakes place daughter of Malibu Boone, trained by Marty Wilson. Javier Castellano just looks like the class of the class in the field. I used the 6. Don't Call Me Charlie, who does her best running in the latter stage of the race. She was second to the horse that was scratched out of here, Best Behavior, who ran the other day, ran very well in the stake the other day. That was in the Glass Zipper. This horse is also a strong 8 for 10 in the money at a mile.
And you know what? We're going to have a look at what Thomas Schell had to say about Don't Call Me Charlie, because it's very interesting. I want to see your take, everybody, because he has a really good take on that last race. Such a consistent mare, and this is Tom Schell.
The Glass Slipper unfortunately had so many horses in it, and Manny had to go like 15, 20 wide with her. She's the type of filly, if she can look at another horse in the eye, they're not going to, get by her. And Friday's race, I mean, I'm expecting a big race out of her. I mean, I think going a mile, the worst thing we could have ever done, I think, was take Manny Cruz off her. He's, I think, wins 7 with her. So, hopefully the combination, it'll be right for her.
And that was a Thomas Schell, number 6, Don't Call Me Charlie. And he makes a really good point.
Right.
That last race, she was really wide. She wasn't even a little wide on the turn. And also, she's always in the mix of things. She tries so hard. And what her trainer was just saying was, if somebody looks her in the eye, she looks somebody in the eye, she's going to be tough to beat. So she's one of those, she's been knocking on the door, she's been running against nice horses. You wouldn't want to throw her out.
No, you don't want to throw her out, and if you're 14 wide, it's hard to look somebody in the eye unless it's somebody in the stand. So she has to be closer to the action in there, and she should run well in that spot today. Threw in the 9 because I lost a couple of scratches in there. We'll see about that. Ships in for Woodbine, trying to translate really good form into from the poly surface to the dirt. See if this horse could do that today at a price.
On to the 4th race on the card. It is a 35,000 claiming event. 6 furlongs on the main track. Do have a couple scratches. Number 1 and number 7. They're both out. Ron, my top selection, I went with number 4. Looks like we're in agreement here. Number 4, Miss Deja Vu, and she's going to be showing speed. Now, Ron, last time she was tried on the turf. Turf going a mile. And it looks like that's not really her game, or potentially it's not her game given the finish. She showed some early speed, and tell you the early splits were a little bit, they weren't all that fast, but I'm not sure if it was the distance, the turf, or whatever it was. She didn't really fire last time.
Yeah, I like her performance back on October 10th is why I used her on there. And if you look at just a stat to throw out to you, Kerry Savage has a positive return of investment, $4.20, where horse is going from to the turf to the dirt. But more importantly, I like the way the horse ran on the dirt. Put a line through that turf race, and I think she's the one to beat in here. I used the 2 skirt stake in second, dropping to the $35,000 level. Failed to show much when facing $75,000 optional claim as her first start, but that was off a 2.5-month layoff. Eddie Pleasure Jr., he's good with second start off the bench, and I think this horse is going to take a positive step forward today.
And one horse that I included in there that you didn't have was number 8, So It's True, from the Kathy Britfo barn, and really a pretty forgettable performance last time. That was showing speed early and then faded late, although that was a significantly higher level, and I'm looking for this filly to hopefully run back to some of her earlier form, so I threw her into the mix. Folks, we're going to take a short break, and we'll come back and have a look at the 5th race on the card that kicks off the 20-cent Rainbow Six.
Gulfstream Park is one of Florida's top entertainment destinations, mixing restaurants, clubs, a casino, and international boutique shops with world-class racing. In a lavish, sun-drenched setting with the feel of a Mediterranean village, Gulfstream is a leading year-round entertainment and tourist destination and the home of luxury residences in 2014. The Stronach family, owners of Gulfstream Park, is committed to the sport of thoroughbred racing and the grace, spirit, and generosity of the horse.
The Rainbow Six is back, and it's better than ever. Now with a 20-cent base wager, it will expand the market for the popular wager. And in addition to doubling the base wager, the percentage return to the winners on the days the jackpot isn't hit is increased to 70%, with 30% going to the carryover pool for the next program. Gulfstream Park, first post, 1240 each and every day.
Welcome back to Gulfstream Park. We're going to have a look at the fifth race on today's card. Kicks off the Rainbow Six, and it is a starter optional claiming event. It is with a $10,000 claiming price, 7 furlongs on the main track. We do have a couple scratches. Number 1, number 11. A couple of significant scratches, too.
Yeah, I mean, Lover Bill's the big scratch. I think he was on the top of your ticket. Wasn't on the top of mine. I did have Blings Express, but number 11, Lover Bill, was second in my selections. We're going to show you Blings Express last race, if we can get right to it, stretching out today. But I just thought he was really wide, and this was in the Express, you know, in the actual race was the Express, and he just got hung wide. And you see him there, just got shuffled back, and for all intents and purposes, sort of knocked him out of the race. He was moving pretty good up there, but he had to take an outside path, and just I think he lost some ground in that race.
And Ron, do you think also the Express was 6? It seems like Blings Express, he likes the 7 furlong distance, so maybe even at it, he looks like he was trying late in that after his slight difficulties, and maybe the distance will help him.
Yeah, I just think he's the logical choice in there. You know, you talk about this is his most accomplished distance, 7 furlongs, 6 starts, 3 wins, a second and a third. He got fanned wide, as we just showed you. So I think you're right. I think going back to 7 furlongs, the scratch of the 11 Lover Bill makes him look all that much better to me. And then we went with number 3. I did. You went with 3 and third, and that's Alico Castle, who moved to the Peter Walder barn. That's, you know, via the claim. That's usually a positive move. He's about 30%, and I think this horse will run well today in that spot.
And Peter was saying, he made a really good point, that this 9-year-old, he's a 9-year-old gelding now. He just seems to run. He's a trainer independent, so he can run. He's just such a consistent. He's a war horse, and he's just so consistent, and he pretty much, when he's well placed, he always runs his race, and Peter does a good job.
And I guess we got it all figured out. Do we use these 3 in the Rainbow Six, or you think we have to go a little deeper in there?
To tell you the truth, I think I would probably narrow it down a little bit, but what are you going to do with number 2, Pro Gold? Neither of us used Pro Gold in there. He actually won. Remember, we looked at the video for his race 2 starts back. He had a World of Trouble, came on and won, and that was on November 3rd. Last time, December 19th. Again, impressive. What do? We've completely thrown him out, it looks like.
I think you put him in because he's 20 to 1 on the morning line. You might get looking. These are the type you need in the Rainbow Six. We tell that each and every day that you got to start it off. Go a little deep in there, and then, you know, try and, as the races progress, maybe you can find a single or a race with just 2 selections in it, so your ticket doesn't cost too much money. And that is if you're not very rich.
Yeah, and also he would seem like a big oversight if we left him out. He came up and beat us. However, on to the 6th race on today's card, and it is a starter optional claiming test, $16,000 claiming tag, 7.5 furlongs on the turf course, and we do have a scratch, number 9, and that's Lita Swan. It was significant for me. That was my top selection. This kicks off the pick 5. So, as I said, now it looks like we're more in agreement. I did have the 9 on my ticket.
I had him third. You had him on top. Yes, I did. He looked like a logical contender in there.
I did have her on top. So I've ended up with number 2, nominative, so we're both on the same horse. A couple of wins back, including one at Churchill Downs, and that was on November 12th. And Ron, that last race was a pretty good one again at Churchill. That was going 9 furlongs. So we're cutting back in trip. We're also getting back to the turf because that was off the turf, and it's Mike Maker. So I think one that you got to use.
Yeah, it's definitely got to use. Look at its record. It's 7.5 furlongs or a mile. The form puts both of those together. 3 previous races, 2 wins and a second, and a 2-win streak on the turf ended when she tried that main track at 9 furlongs last time out. So if you put a line through there, it certainly looks like number 2 nominated was the one to beat in there. We both have the number 4 Nasty Newsy on our ticket. I have it in second. Nominative is trained by Mike Maker. Must be respect under respected on the fact that she looks like the controlling speed in this race, to me. And if you look at her record at the distance, 5 races, 4 wins. So,
yeah, she's pretty. And so Mike Maker really has his bases covered. He's got the horse that's going to be showing speed likely. He also has a horse that's coming from off the pace. And I also, as you said, Nasty Newsy. Number 3, we used Angel's Girl as well, Steve Dwoskin. Also a couple of wins coming into this as well. So one of them that I had to include.
Yeah, one was an $8,000 race over at Gulfstream Park West, another $20,000, but a 2-race win streak, not outclassed in this spot.
Yeah, I think so too. On to the 7th race on the card, which kicks off the late pick 4, and it is a $50,000 maiden claiming test, 1.16 miles on the turf course, and it is for 3-year-old fillies. We do have a few scratches on the also eligibles 11 through 14, and I was, you look at my paper, I scratched everybody out. I put somebody, I had a really difficult time with a few horses, because you could make a case probably for about 3 or 4 horses in here, Ron. I did end up with number 2, Just Like Khaki. It's going to be showing speed. Her numbers, I look at the thoroughgraph sheets, her numbers seem to fit in with the rest of this. She's dropping. She has raced at the Maiden 50 tag previously, Gulfstream Park West, and that was back on November 27th. However, Ron, several factors that I like. I think she's going to be the one to beat, but this is a tough heat.
Yeah, I picked the number 1 Bluegrass Special, and I picked this horse in its debut, and I want to show you this horse. We got a video of this horse. This horse was back about 14 lengths, even farther back than where we're showing you. Due to time constraints, we're not going to show you the whole race. Far back in its debut, came running pretty good, so I was watching. I had more interest to watch it because I had bet it that day, so I'm watching it close. Trainer Christophe Clemente's 24% with maidens making his second start, and this horse just kept coming, and basically was so far back early, so I just think second off the bench. You got Luis Saez in the saddle, so I threw the number 1 Bluegrass Special on my ticket. I have the 2 Just Like Khaki in there too, along with the 4 Violinist, who's from the Todd Pletcher bond.
And Violinist actually was ahead of Bluegrass Special in that latest start, and also she broke from a very wide draw. She was in the 11 hole that day, and that was December 17th run, and she ran a pretty good race. Now, she was closer to the pace,
right?
So whereas Bluegrass Special came from far out of it, but she has a much better draw today, so I think that she's going to want to be one of those that you're going to throw into the mix. But a very wide open race. There's 4 or 5 horses. Yeah, there are a few horses in there that I think it's tough to kick off the early pick 4. On to the 8th race on the card is allowance optional claiming test with a claiming price of $12,500. 6 furlongs on the main track, and we do have a scratch. Number 6, Gourmet Delight. My top selection, I went with number 8, Gentrify, and this from the Roy Lerman barn, Javier Castellano getting aboard. Now, Javier's been on this gelding previously, Ron. If you see a couple of races up in New York, and they were pretty good. There was a win, a 3rd place effort, so hit the board in both races. I'm expecting to see this gelding relatively close up, so he can have some pretty good positions.
Yeah, I think he really classes up nicely against this level of competition. I did go with the number 4, Oration, and this one is 2 for 2 in the money, sprinting on the dirt. Has trained really well up at Payson Park in preparation for the first start since fading to get beat double-digit lengths, but that was an entry-level allowance contested on a sloppy track at Saratoga on the main track, and Christophe Clement 22% with this type of layoff. I just think this horse is going to run well in this spot today.
Yeah, and this race actually is for state breds. It's for Florida breds, so it's interesting to know some of these horses are coming out of races against open company. So again, that's a pretty interesting race to look at. I also threw in number 7, Delta Bluesman, and really didn't show anything last time. That was on the turf for George Navarro, cutting back in trip and going back to the dirt, and I'm looking for him to run a better race this time. On to the 9th race on the card. It is a $50,000 claiming and event, and it is 1.16 miles on the turf course. And Ron, there was one scratch, number 11, Key to Power. My top selection, I went with number 5. Oh, look, we were in a...
That's my single, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
I'm glad you like it.
Good for you. That's Barrel of Love. And again, I was torn between a couple of horses, and I ended up with the Chad Brown runner for a couple of reasons. The obvious reason, dropping. Coming out of a race where the first, second place horses in that race, there's really stakes caliber horses. Now, that was back in September. September. I've said this time and time again with Chad Brown. I don't care all that much when they're coming off of any type of layoff, really. However, he's one of those trainers, he knows how to get them done. John Velasquez, he gets aboard here today. I think this horse is just in the right spot. You look at all his races that he was running in New York, Ron, even those allowance races back in July, August. He's running against horses like Not a Cat But a Llama, King Krisa, Lubash, and these are graded stakes horses, and in many cases, graded stakes winners.
Well, this is the first off the claim by Chad Brown, and he's 5 for 10, 50%. Actually, it's now 6 for 11 because he had one yesterday that didn't win. But Barrel of Love, what I like more about it, if you look at the past performances in this race, tons of speed. I kept seeing horses that need to lead or need to be near the lead to run their best. So Barrel of Love is going to sit the trip behind it, thus singling it in my Rainbow Six sequence today. Also used the 9 Gunderson and the number 2 Hammers Terror in there, who was really impressive, winning a $35,000 race for Brian Lynch. But you can see our numbers. We agree with the top one, but everything else a little different.
You know, it's funny because I used number 7 Sachem Spirit from the Eddie Keneally barn, and he's making his first start for Eddie Keneally, previously with Mark Cassidy. And this horse actually finished 3rd behind Luke's Alley, and that was at Woodbine. Now, Luke's Alley went on to win 2 stakes, and one of them was the Grade 2 Autumn Stakes. So, again, here's a little bit. There's some class and there's some quality, and in fact, he was placed 2nd. He was promoted to 2nd via disqualification that last race, but he's one that I think you're going to have to use in there as well. Pretty wide open race.
Yeah, pretty wide open there, even though I have my single in there.
Even though you have your single in there, but we're in agreement, so that's what counts. And the 10th and final race on the card, it is a starter optional claiming race, and it is with a claiming price of $35,000. We do have them running on a mile on the turf course. Scratches 2, 12 and 13. Ron, Super High 5. We love the Super High 5. And
not an easy one today.
No, it's not going to be an easy one. I went with number 4, and it looks, if you look at our picks, Ron, it's like we're all over the map here. And that just goes to show. Number 4, Miss Margaret, and from the Milt Wolfson barn, and I think this, I'd like to see this filly settling just off the pace. She's proven the model of consistency. And my only concern, 4 seconds, a third out of 7 starts, no wins. Sometimes they just learn to do that, and that's where they hang. But I'm looking back, if you look at her a few starts back in a stake, she finished behind Hangover Saturday, nice stakes horse, or a very useful stakes horse. So that's where I went.
I went with the one Trigger Finger, who had a career debut, won a career debut on the turf. Returns, drops, returns to the grass, lost all chance. She broke really bad in there. Mike Maker, you better have a good day. It seems like I picked you an awful lot today. He's 25% with the dirt to turf angle.
He's hoping you have a good day.
Rosario in the saddle. You see our selections up there. Super High 5. Not an easy task. A lot of fun bet, and they've been nailing it. I don't know how to do it, but they've been nailing it all along. Whoever bets the Super High 5.
Well, that's interesting because that you mentioned, because there's significant money that gets into it. So that's one of those things you could take a shot and try to take it down, because they have been betting significant money into it. So, Ron, let's do an outline of today.
We've got a fun day, number 1. We've got the Rainbow Six in the race number 5. Yes. We got the Super High 5. Of course, we got 2 pick 4s. And we got this beautiful weather in South Florida. And we're getting one of these.
We're getting one of these. Yeah, they want us to get off of here and stop telling you all the good stories here. But, guys, stick around. Ron, I will be back the rest of the afternoon. We got a good one on tap.